Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with this Nigeria newspaper. The major story here is you better step aside. That's the headline there. You better step aside. Tinubu suspends humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation minister over 585 million naira scandal. Edu denied access to president in Aso Villa. EFCC cruises embattled minister today. Ndume, Sheikh Hussaini, others hail suspension. And we saw a majority of Nigerians also hailing the president's move with regards to suspending the minister. Another story here, Anambra boat mishap, 4 still missing, as NIWA confirms 8 deaths, 38 survivors. A bus rapid transportation system for FCT underway, as the FCTA saying. Tinubu dismisses DG, BPE, CEO, Consumer Protection Commission. And Nigeria's economic growth may face declines in 2024. The UN is saying this. The next paper is The Nation newspaper. And the story, the major headline still focuses on the suspension of the humanitarian minister. Betta Edu faces EFCC grilling. That should be later today. She has been invited for questioning. Another story here. Alia triumphs at Supreme Court. Ayedatiwa rejects forgery claim. Super Eagles land in Lagos. Another story. NERC takes over Disco over poor performance. And 37 billion naira EFCC quizzes ex-minister Sadia. APC picks Edu candidate February the 17th. All right, those are some of the stories you find on the front page of The Nation newspaper. We'll move now to The Guardian newspaper. And the major story here, EFCC quizzes embattled Edu others as anti-graft uproar heightens. EFCC quizzes embattled Edu others as anti-graft uproar heightens. And to some other stories, Obi deplores huge borrowing profligate spending on luxury. Reps blame Agric Ministry for delay in sharing Tinubu's palliatives. And security guard bags life imprisonment over sexual assault. Some of the stories you find on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. We'll move quickly now to the Daily Independent. And the major story here says 558 million naira scam. EFCC summons suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. Hiriwa, as the Human Rights Watch says, Tinubu's action, right step in the right direction. Tinubu's action consistent with law, not questionable. Uzodimma saying, probe must establish intention to the fraud or ignorance, Sagi is saying. And another story here, we never discovered 100 fake profs in Nigeria's varsity system. NUC is responding to talks about fake professors in some universities. Now, CAN stages, as a Christian Association of Nigeria, stages peace walk to Plateau Government House over killings. Federal government activates automated passport application for Nigerians. We had that conversation earlier. Kogi government appoints new Uhinoi, deposes 3 monarchs. Governor Bello dissolves state exco, retains some members. Obi asks federal government to show what it did with 7.3 trillion naira borrowing. That means pattern of huge borrowing and profligate spending. All right, those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Leadership, or the Daily Independent newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And the story here, anti-graft war, EFCC quizzes Sadia, invites Betta Edu. Anti-graft war, EFCC quizzes Sadia, invites Betta Edu. Minister suspended to allow transparent probe. Agency saying, Edu spotted at Aso Villa. Interior Minister distances self from humanitarian ministry contract. All right, some of the stories you find on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. We move quickly now to the Punch newspaper. And the story here, Tinubu utters 2 trillion naira poverty relief funds probe. Edu faces EFCC today. Security aids to stop Edu from meeting president. Buhari minister grilled for 12 hours. Ibraheem?
First with me here is the Salient Times with a excuse me, screaming headline: mixed reaction trails Tinubu suspension of Betta Edu, directs EFCC chair to conduct probe. And then Betta Edu to report at EFCC office today, denies access to see Tinubu at presidential villa. Also, Supreme Court dismisses PDP's appeal, upholds Governor Alia's election. Man pleads guilty to sexual assault on 9-month-old baby, risks life imprisonment. Donyo Okukpe resigns from Labour Party, cites ideological differences. And above the masthead, Yahaya Bello deposes Kogi monarch, banishes him to Niger State. Mom dances naked around 6-year-old daughter's corpse after killing her as a sacrifice to God. Then BBC can't destroy TB Joshua's legacy. That's according to Femi Fani Kayode. 2024 prophecy: don't expect urgent relief from current hardship. That's according to Adeboye. Then you also see on the front page colorful display of Kaltungo Chiefdom's cultural heritage at the Kaltungo Cultural Festival in Gombe State, showcasing the beauty of the Nigerian culture. Next is Blueprint, and then the kicker reads: Betta Edu's suspension. CSO's Ndume hailed Tinubu's firm stance against corruption. Utmost transparency needful for Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. That's CSJ. And also Sadiya Farouk yields self at EFCC headquarters. You can read that up on page 6 and 7. Also still on the front page of the Blueprint, you see a happy birthday wishes to an achiever par excellence by Dr. Mele Kiari, wishing High Chief Dr. Government Ikpoyi alias Tompolo. Next is the First News newspaper. 585 million naira scandal. More troubles for Betta Edu as EFCC waits in. More troubles for Betta Edu as EFCC waits in. Anti-graft agency summons minister 30 minutes after suspension by Tinubu as security aides stop her from meeting Tinubu, withdraw her Aso Rock access, and suspended minister to face grilling on Tuesday. Yahaya Bello deposes, banishes 4 Kogi monarchs. President Tinubu sacks FCC PC, BP bosses. Supreme Court upholds Governor Alia's election. And Pope calls for global ban on surrogacy. 37.1 billion naira fraud. Finally, Buhari's minister turns herself in at EFCC headquarters. Emefiele's detention lawful will appeal 100 million naira fine. That's according to the EFCC. Passports will be ready in 2 weeks after biometric capture. That's according to the minister. Shameless politicians behind certificate forgery allegations against Aida Tiwa, that's CPS. TB Joshua raped, tortured members. That's according to the BBC investigation as reactions trail report. Next is News Direct. Unlawful detention. Court awards 100 million naira damages to Emefiele. And the writer reads, we detain him with a valid court order. That's according to the EFCC. 585 million naira misappropriation. President Tinubu orders panel to review social investment programs, suspends Betta Edu. Also, above the masthead, NCC issues 14-day warning to operators illegally utilizing 5.4 gigahertz frequency band. Supreme Court affirms earlier as Benue governor throws out PDP appeal. That's about it for the Nigeria News Direct. And last but not least is Business Day newspaper. Foreign investors exit from Nigerian stocks nears 3-year high. Foreign investors exit from Nigerian stocks nears 3-year high. That's the Business Day newspaper. 5 ways oil can jumpstart the economy in 2024, and also 5 things to watch in Nigeria's health sector. Southern Middle Belt leaders slam Tinubu over plateau killings, alleged ethnic cleansing. That's on the front page of the Business Day newspaper. So many information, so many news items to read from all of the papers we reviewed for you this morning.
Absolutely. Of course, dominating the papers is development with regards to Betta Edu, the humanitarian minister, who is to meet with the EFCC later today for some grilling, as the papers put it. But one story that caught my attention is the mother that killed her daughter, I think 6-year-old daughter that you mentioned, sacrificed her, and then in the process was dancing around
the baby. She looks foreign. I think she's not Nigerian, actually. Okay, it's a foreign news. Yeah.
Yes, it's foreign. That seemed like a mental issue, in my own opinion. You do not just offer your child, how old again?
6-year-old.
Something must be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I've not had the opportunity to read the story. I'm just also seeing it, just a few minutes ago. And, that's really, it's terrifying. It's sad. If she is an African, maybe, one will be thinking, okay, maybe this... But then the fact that she is even dancing around the corpse of the baby in sacrifice to God, I wonder why God is even written in capital letter. It's supposed to be written in small letter G, because you can't kill your daughter or your child, in sacrifice to God. Abraham, biblically, also, written in the Quran, it was meant to sacrifice a son, to God based on his promise. And then God asked him to come and, you have to fulfill your promise. And it was replaced, exactly. It was replaced by, by a ram. So I'm not sure. I don't know how. But, Muslims are the one that, try to actually live after, that practice. That's why they said maybe all firstborns will have run away when it comes to, Ilia festival. But then it didn't happen. So I wonder where she's getting hers from. Because I'm saying this because the God is written in capital G. That's to say, Almighty God. But maybe with small letter G, then we can begin to talk about, okay, maybe she's...
that's why I'm wondering. That's why I mentioned earlier that it must have been born out of... perhaps that's what she said to the persons who she granted interviews, saying it was in sacrifice to God. But people hear all sorts of things and they feel that they are hearing God. They hear all sorts of spirits speaking to them. And oftentimes when you see people who are hallucinating or who are having some mental challenges, they tell you they hear voices. And because it may not necessarily be physical voices, because they don't see the person speaking with them,
that's right,
they assume, oh, it must be the voice of God.
That's right.
So that is how...
there is this Latin word that actually says, vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. But this is not the voice of the people. No. The voice of people from the underworld must have, called out to... That's why when people come out and say, God has called me, be sure that it is God that called you. Whether it is your pocket that is calling you or God or something else, maybe it's Satan that is calling you. So, we just have to be very careful, with the thing that, people tend to see in their dreams. It's very sad. It's really, really very sad. It's not something that we should have read about or we should be reading about. I think it happened. I'm trying to get the details of where it happened. A 6-year-old Texas girl was killed by a mother who allegedly told police she stabbed the child under God's order. the woman was naked and running around the crime scene.
Obviously.
You know,
it goes to show what the situation is.